Hello, I'm IDK and today I'm discussing the history of the Xbox. Currently, the Xbox is considered one of the most well-known consoles and pretty much everyone has heard of it, whether it's from adverts or it's just people talking about it in general. Now, before we talk about the system that started it all, let's talk about the guy that made it possible, Seamus Blackley. Inspired by playing his Atari 2600 when he was younger, Seamus wanted to make his own games. In 1998, Seamus created a game called Trespasser. However, it didn't turn out well. Afterwards, though, he found himself working for Microsoft as a program manager to get away from games. However, in 1999, the PS2 was announced, and this made Seamus think that if anyone was to go ahead with Sony, it would be Microsoft. Whilst on a business trip, Blackley had an idea and he decided to call up ex-developer Kevin Backus. They soon approached the game coordinator with the idea that it had all the business and know-how of a console but would have all the PC power and history of Microsoft in it as well. This is the combination the company could take advantage of with future consoles. The team began to work on it and soon word began to spread, but before they knew it, they were talking to the head himself, Bill Gates. He loved the idea of having a device that could handle the power of Microsoft OS and was focused on a single task, which was playing games. After the meeting, Bill signed it and sent a memo to the rest of the company supporting the console. In 1999, a team was assembled to start constructing the Xbox, and others on the team began to meet up with some developers, and the support they got was promising. In March 2000, Bill Gates took to the stage at the Game Developers Conference to confirm people's suspicions of whether they were going into the game console industry. So you're probably wondering, how did the Xbox get its name? Well, the Xbox was the first console offered by an American company after the Atari Jaguar stopped sales in 1996. The name Xbox was derived from a contraction of DirectXbox, a reference to Microsoft Graphics API DirectX. Now, from the get-go, the Microsoft team had a launch date for the Xbox, November 2001. However, the team began to have doubts on whether they could reach that date or not. In January 2001, the public got shown the first glimpse of the console. The company wanted to make it look powerful and industrious, so they decided to go with a black and green aesthetic. Although the creation team was doing well, the marketing team ran into a bit of a dilemma. Should they present it as a Microsoft brand, or should they include Bill Gates into the advertisements? Nonetheless, the big day came November 15th, 2001. The midnight release of the console. The launch title for the Xbox was Halo Combat Evolved. Developed by Bungie, Halo was considered one of the most important first-person shooter games in the franchise, though it wasn't always supposed to be that way. The developers of this game first wanted the game to be a real-time strategy game for the Mac and Windows systems. But before that could happen, Microsoft bought Bungie and created the game as the launch title. This would then go on to become the sequel that millions love to this day, Halo 2. Halo 1 and 2 were also great contributions to online gaming. Xbox Live. Their goal was to bring online gaming into the console world, even if they weren't the first ones to do so. After the success of the Xbox, the team began developing the Xbox 360. While Seamus Blackley left the company to go start his own business, he wished his team well as the team created the new console. Released in 2005, the Xbox 360 had to compete against the PlayStation 3 and the Nintendo Wii. Though the success of the Xbox was big, the console was seen as the underdog in the console wars. This was due to both Nintendo and PlayStation having a decade on the Xbox, but that didn't stop Microsoft. The Xbox sold about 24 million units in its lifetime, but was still far from the PlayStation 2's 155 million units sold. Whilst the Xbox goal was to bring Microsoft into the game industry, the Xbox 360's was to appeal to a wider audience. In addition, they wanted it to come out soon after the Xbox in 2005. For the Xbox 360, these came as a standard: HD graphics, surround sound, games that look great into 16:9 aspect ratio, and more. And to get that stunning quality for the time, they needed at least 500 gigabytes of storage, which was unheard of. In the development, the processors were so good it made the console 80 times better than the original. Something Microsoft strived to improve was third-party partnerships with companies like EA and Activision. The iconic gesture. This is what Microsoft called the hourglass shape of the console that could be easily recognized by anyone and not too out there that it would fade away in the future. This was probably one of the smartest things they did. Also, the controller was wireless, which made the console seem better. The controller had a unique feature for the time as well, the Xbox guide button. Not only did it allow you to bring up the dashboard, it also allowed you to turn off and turn on the console. But it doesn't matter about the console or the controller. What matters is the games. The Xbox 360 didn't run short on game titles. Some included Quake, Call of Duty 2, Perfect Dark Zero, and many more. The Xbox 360 also brought on the marketplace, where players could download new DLCs and avatars. Now on the Xbox 360 there were these things called the red rings of death. On the rings there were 4 LED lights. If 1 came on red, it meant hardware failure. If 2 came up, it meant overheating. If 3 came up, it meant general hardware failure. And if 4 came up, it meant AV cable error. In the end though, the console sold 84 million copies worldwide. Next, the Xbox One was released November 22nd, 2013 in North America as the successor of the Xbox 360. The Xbox One competes with Sony's PlayStation 4 and Nintendo's Wii U. The Xbox One had many internet-based features, including the ability to record and stream gameplay and the ability to integrate with a set-top box to watch cable or satellite TV through the console, with an enhanced guide interface and Kinect-based voice control. This ended up selling over 51 million copies worldwide. June 30th, 2016, Microsoft announced the Xbox One S, which featured a smaller form factor, as well as support for 4K video including streaming and Ultra HD Blu-ray and HDR. In 2017, Microsoft unveiled Xbox One X, a high-end model, improved hardware design to facilitate the playing of games at 4K resolution. And finally, the Xbox Series X. The Xbox Series X released in November 10th, 2020. With the 4K, 8K ready gaming with 120 FPS, it also had 1TB of SSD storage space, which was a big upgrade, and it's the first time Microsoft had used an SSD for optimal gaming performance. The box design of the Series X also has very good cooling capabilities and has sold many units so far. Now that's all I have to say for this video. Comment down below your favourite console, and also don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!